Right, hope everyone is doing very well watching this video. So we're going to be diving into something very interesting today, and it's one of my favorite topics, and I think you'll enjoy this as well. It's how to get your message received in the right way, that it starts bringing in new leads. That's interesting. Brings you leads, and obviously you get in a position and to turn those leads into paying clients, because ultimately that's what we are here for, and that's what you want, right? And obviously you're going to be getting clients anyway, but this is just how to do it when it comes to your messaging. So let's dive in. Turn your messaging into conversations, and yes, clients too. Let's just read out the headline. So a cheeky little recap. All right. By this stage, you should already have a few important things in place. That is a cat here on the right thinking. You should have your clear positioning, so we understand how to stand out in the marketplace, how do we be our authentic selves, how we can have some sort of personality and be seen as that go-to expert in that respect, that people want to work with you. When they find you on social media, they can scour your content and they understand that, yeah, I know this person, I understand what they're doing, they can help me, which is great. The content that builds authority, credibility, trust, and makes you sound like a bloody human being, because, of course, there's a lot of AI generated content out there. It's very easy to kind of dehumanize yourself and not sound like a person. You are a personality, and you are an awesome person, and you have a personality. So do show it. You don't have to be the best writer in the world. You're not writing a bloody novel. You're just being yourself, and you're just conveying a very simple message in each piece of content and each email you write. That is it. You don't need to go around in circles. And an audience started to trust what you share, because you are showing up consistently, you're showing up daily, you're posting, and you have some sort of direction now when it comes to your strategy. If you can see I'm looking over here, it's because my video is here and it's very weird looking up there, but hey, it's all good. You can tell I'm doing this live, but that's the whole point. But here's where a lot of people get stuck. And well, it's the one thing that'll have you wondering why people are reaching out. So let's tackle that, shall we? You've got this. And you do get it. So there's a cat, and the messaging on its own doesn't create clients. And that might sound interesting, because you're probably thinking, wait, messaging doesn't get clients? I'm going to stop you right there. That's not what I've said, or kind of said. You'll defo need messaging. Okay, this means definitely need a message, just shorthand, especially if you want to stand out and get positioned as the go-to in your niche. You also need your messaging to build a tribe, a following, and your own personal brand as well, which is absolutely key, especially now. But getting clients is a little bit different, and I'll explain, because when it comes to getting clients, right, sometimes they will reach out when it comes to your content, which is fantastic. You'll get an email. And they might reach out to you, but they only do that when you do one specific thing, which is what we're going to be touching on. So you can have a fantastic piece of content, have a great message, but if you haven't given someone something, which I'm going to be touching on, there's no reason for them to act, and therefore there's no opportunity to create conversation. So let's just dive into that, shall we? So the simple client path is pretty much this. When someone eventually becomes a client, the journey is usually very simple. It tends to follow this path. You post your content, you get a conversation, you connection, and then become a client. All right. So it's the whole nurture, which is you sharing your contents, building that tribe, putting yourself out there. You're getting some sort of capture. Again, this could be via a form after a conversation, etc., like booking a call, and then becoming a client, which is awesome. So they discover your content, the conversation begins, and that conversation is what builds connection and your trust. And sometimes that leads to someone deciding to work with you, because let's face it, not everyone who reaches out is going to become a client, but you do not forget about those people. I touch on in phase 3 why that is the case. So yeah. And the mistake many people make is stopping at the content. All right. They post and then they go. They think that's enough. And I think maybe years ago, that would have been enough. You could post something like an infographic and you get like 20 plus likes. But nowadays, not so much. You might get 1 or 2, but that's it. But that doesn't matter. Okay, that really doesn't matter, because what matters most is this. Why most content doesn't generate your clients is because you're not asking people. Okay, it's as simple as that. A lot of good content never turns into opportunity because there's no clear direction. You're not asking. Some uncommon things I generally see is there's no clear call to action. All right. Teaching consistently, but never inviting a conversation. So there's no clear next step. Hoping people will just message first, which really isn't the case. You just got to imagine that sometimes you're a little bit timid, you're sitting in the corner, and sometimes you just want someone to approach you so you can have a conversation, just like that. And feeling uncomfortable about selling. Again, as I've covered before, selling is simply solving a problem and helping someone. If that's a bad thing, then well, I don't know that's not bad at all. It's just to reframe selling, you're helping. That is it. The reality is people often need a little guidance. They do. They need that gentle push to that next step, because if there is no clear step, well, guess what happens? If you don't ask, you don't get. You don't need complicated funnels or elaborative strategies. Often a simple invitation works best. All right. So, for example, you could have plenty of things, and this is going to be depending on what medium you use, whether it's emails, whether it's content, whether it's landing pages, sales pages, stories. The point is, you need some sort of call to action with a clear next step. So, just some examples here. If you'd like help with this, feel free to DM me guide. Boom. Now that would be very helpful when it comes to maybe you've got like a lead magnet that you want to give away. All right. And DMing your guide, well, that's the clear action for them to go, yeah, I like that guide. And therefore you can give them the guide, and then ideally they'll join your email list. Comment audit, and I'll send you more details. Again, you're asking them an action. So this would probably be in line with more to say like you're a social media manager, maybe SEO, maybe something to do with IT, or just an overview of someone's funnel or business, and you're just going to do an audit for them. All right. If this is something you're currently struggling with, so we're starting with a pain, okay, with message me. Simple. All right. Other ones could be you're dropping a link in an email. If you want to find out more information, go ahead and click here, just like Rosie did, who, 3 years ago, she was struggling with X, Y, and Z. But, ever since starting this program, for instance, she managed to do X, Y, and Z. Go here and click, and then boom, happy days. So you build out the CTA that way. These aren't aggressive sales tactics at all. You're just asking people to take that next step and just start the conversation. At the end of the day, that is the most key thing, is starting that conversation. So do this for me. All right. Take a gander at what you've shared in the last week or two. Just in the overview. Again, this is something we're going to be talking about if you're not already on a call. Doesn't matter if that's email, social media content, a bit of both, whatever it might be. Did you ask someone to take action? I.e., have you invited them to the next step, and was this clear? How many times did you ask these people? And because this is absolutely key to understand whether you have a messaging problem, or maybe there's something more underlining, and that's you simply just not asking enough people about taking that next step. Not inviting them along. So here's the next step, logical thing. Go and click on the link in the bio, send me a DM, reply to the email, click the link in the email. So many different things, so many ways. Again, if you're doing reels, you can speak, you can talk it, the call to action. If you're doing stories, call to actions and those as well. It's relatively simple. You just, if you don't ask, I think my mum said this, if you don't ask, you don't get. So fucking ask. Because you're worth it, and people literally deserve you, and you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're also doing other people a disservice when you don't ask. So ask. And one final one, go out there and start creating conversations today. At the end of the day, I built my business purely from organic means, which means I've had to do a lot of conversations, no paid ads. Literally, I built that from just having conversations with people who were complete strangers at one point. We became more friendly. They wanted to become a client. It could have been a bit quicker than that. They might have already had a pressing issue. Maybe they were already in the market looking for someone, and it just so happened that it was in the right place at the right time. At the end of the day, it's the conversations that matter, because it's something that down the line, people who might not have signed up for you yet, they might sign up to you again in 6 months time, or in 3 months time, whenever is most convenient for them. They haven't forgotten about you in that respect. But by creating a conversation, you just get that foot in the door to start networking, to start connecting with a person, and yes, get them into your world that they hopefully will become a client and they will pay you. So If you have any questions on that, you can email me, you can bring them to the call. Below this is going to be some really cool call to action frameworks that you can easily use into your social media, into your stories, and also your email marketing as well. They've all been used, so they've in other words, they've been proven, they work, and you can play around with them as much as you like. All right. So there we are. Have a great day, and I'm going to get a coffee.